Dead End Hip Hop Conversations, rap lyrics used in court. Obviously, this topic has been something that has primarily plagued the hip hop community. Other genres of music really have not had this used against them. So it's Dead End Hip Hop. We feel like it's our duty to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about it a little bit. You know, there's some examples that we're going to use, and obviously you're going to hear everybody's opinion. So we got Beezy, Modest, KBN, C-Town. You know what I'm saying? The whole crew's in the house. I know that there's been a couple of examples, like Lil Boosie. You know, they try to use his rap lyrics against them.
They did?
In the court of law. Yep.
Yeah, he was convicted. Not convicted, but he was arrested.
Yeah, he was arrested. They tried to use it against them, but didn't work. I know Myke wanted to ask about somebody from No Limit, Mac. Who else did they use?
Mac Phillips. That was his real name, I remember.
Mac Phillips.
But I don't remember his rap name.
And then who are some other examples? Like I know TK, The Race. I don't know if y'all ever heard that song. But
TK, The Race.
TK.
You ain't never heard it either, apparently.
No, I've heard the song. And basically when he was literally on the run from the cops, he came out with a song called The Race, and you know, there's a lot of things that he was rapping about that they were trying to indict him on. So when they finally caught up to him, they tried to use that against him.
Wait, so he was on the run and made a song called The Race?
Yep.
About being on the run? Is that how that went?
It was a song about the things that they were trying to convict him on. You know?
Oh. I'm like, about to say, shit.
He said that's tight.
Told on yourself, bro.
That's
God damn.
Go ahead, TK.
Now I don't think this was in the same capacity, but wasn't Luke and 2 Live Crew like to the Supreme Court? I forgot exactly what was.
Yeah, but that was so they couldn't perform.
You tried to ban his lyrics.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah,
like I said, I knew it was kind of in a different capacity, but I remember, Luke was fighting that a while ago.
Banned in the USA.
Then they made that song.
Banned.
Oh, he made that song in response to.
I think so.
What?
Yeah.
You don't remember all this?
Yeah.
I mean,
B?
I vaguely remember it, man. Like it's bits and pieces. I remember, kind of that going on. But I didn't remember he made that song.
Video with the American flag.
I remember. I just didn't know it was a response to that, though.
Yeah.
I remember the song and everything.
Because they tried to arrest him for performing his songs. They were trying to arrest him.
Okay. Yeah, they were trying to ban him, like not allowing him to perform nothing. Like it was like this whole big thing about freedom of speech.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So in response to that, have y'all heard about the Rap Act?
That's the thing with Jay-Z, right?
Nah. So I'm not 100% sure.
I think he backed it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's a bill in California,
That's
and
the
then
one.
there's one in New York.
That's the one with Gavin Newsom, but I don't think that's Jay-Z's, right? Wasn't Jay-Z's the one that was in New York?
The one in New York, him, Meek Mill, and somebody else.
Yeah, so the Rap Act is an acronym for Restoring Artist Protection Act.
That's creative.
It is. And it's a proposal to limit the use of lyrics in federal criminal proceedings. Lyrics from songs like the one called Anybody by Young Thug and Nicki Minaj. And this source is from NPR.
Because they use that song Anybody for this current
RICO
case, with Young Thug, right?
Yep.
Well, one thing it's amazing that I think we've sort of touched on it here and there, but that we haven't had like a full conversation about what was going on, given the fact that we do cover hip hop, and hip hop has been under attack by this, and they're using this sort of stuff to kind of lock up artists, and I think it's kind of interesting that over the last couple of years, this has kind of resurfaced. Because you guys mentioned the past, you mentioned Mac being sent to jail for stuff like that. So yeah, man, I don't know. It's just kind of wild to see this sort of thing take place, especially given with everything that went down with Young Thug and the RICO Act. So because I think this act was introduced before that went down, right? Am I right about that?
Well, this act,
the Rap Act was definitely in progress before Young Thug.
Okay. Yeah, that article from NPR was in October of this year.
But I mean, this has been going on for about 8 years. The reason I knew about this is because I was actually going to do a video about it. I had a whole script laid out and everything, and then I scrapped it. I don't remember why, but I scrapped it. And that was well over a year ago.
You said 8?
Yeah, this discussion has been going on actively in courts for at least probably even 10 years, if not longer.
Okay, but there wasn't an act introduced, like a bill.
But the bill was
Okay.
introduced because courts were trying to do this.
Got it.
Is this like a statewide thing, a federal thing? Like, what is this? Like, can anybody?
This is a
implement
federal
this?
thing.
It's a federal.
But states can do it too. It's easier actually for states to do it. That's why you have
New York and
what's the
California.
chick's Fannie Willis, the DA here,
Okay.
that was trying to use Thug's lyrics, and she's very proud about it. Like she's done press conferences where she's like, "Yeah, if you're gonna rap about killing people, then just you bet not be committing crimes or just don't do it in my area." So she's very, very, very proud of the fact that she's trying to convict rappers based on things that they've said in songs.
Bobby Smyrna, didn't he get locked up because of his lyrics too?
Yeah, so I actually have a list here from Daquan.tv, and it lists 10 rappers that their lyrics were used against them. Okay. One of them being at number 10, 6ix9ine. Back in 2018 in his racketeering trial, they allowed him to try to explain some of his lyrics from the song Gummo, including lines, "Shoot at me, I'm shooting back, I'm getting buckets, I ain't want to take his life, but nigga, fuck it." Bobby Shmurda is number 9 on this list. Following the arrests of Bobby and his GS9 crew on weapons and conspiracy charges in 2014, there was speculation that lyrics from Hot Nigga might be cited as evidence, which obviously they
Caught a
used.
body about a week ago.
Boosie back in 2012, he was accused of paying a man $2,800 to kill another man in Baton Rouge. Meek Mill, Draco the Ruler, Mayhem Mall,
That was the
Snoop
one I was
Dogg.
trying to remember.
Okay.
Mayhem Mall that went to jail for
Yeah, so Pennsylvania, he's from Pennsylvania. He was out on bond for a gun and drug case back in 2013 when he shared "Fuck the Police" with lyrics that made his arresting officers feel nervous. He rapped, "Taking money from Baez and all that shit away from me. Well, your shift over at 3 and I'm gonna fuck up where you sleep," among other bloody lines. Snoop Dogg, it was obviously used against the Mac.
Wait,
Phipps.
go back to Mayhem Mall. The
Okay.
interesting thing about him was he had a clear reference in the song to Dr. Dre. So it was obvious to anyone that actually knows
to
anything
hip-hop.
about rap
Yep.
that that's what he was doing. But because the cops either don't know or they can pretend to be ignorant about it,
Yep.
they can say he was threatening police when that's not what he was doing. Or even if it was, you can't prove it. Like that's not evidence.
Yeah.
YNW Melly, with his breakout single "Murder on My Mind." Now that's one that when I heard out, that one is literally like
He's
almost like
giving
an
detail.
autobiography.
He's giving detail of the situation.
Yes. And then TK The Race, that was number 1 on this list. But Myke, I agree with you. In these court proceedings, they bring in cops to try to talk to who's the people? The jury. And oftentimes, a lot of those lyrics are taken out of context because, like Myke just said, this artist may be referencing another artist. This artist might be, giving props to another line. And like often hip hop artists will take lines and then just put it into their thing and make it their own. And it's like these cops, they don't really have references to that. You know what I'm saying? And I was watching a YouTube video and they were kind of talking about how even Johnny Cash has that song about killing a man
I
in
shot
Reno.
a man in Reno just to watch him die.
But if Johnny Cash was on trial, would they even use that against him? I doubt it.
No, because they would say that he's an artist.
Yep.
And that's the biggest difference. Like you have all kinds of, I listen to a lot of satanic metal. Get mad if you want to. A lot of those bands talk about killing people. They very rarely ever do it. A lot of them talk about doing all types of sacrifice, whatever. They don't do it. There was like a huge popular song, and I can't remember, it was Faith Evans, one of those country singers, that was talking about fucking up this dude's truck because he cheated. So if that dude's truck did end up getting fucked up, could you then bring her to court and say, "Oh, well, she said in the song that she was going to scratch up my car because I cheated"? It's crazy. And I guarantee you that shit would not hold up, but this shit does.
Freedom of speech, does that count in this
Freedom of
particular
speech,
case?
just watch what you say. That's what Ice-T says, and he's right.
I think that's what a lot of people are citing, is that in addition to it being art, that there should be this freedom of speech thing as well. I think the thing is, like, there was this other thing that I saw where a lot of labels and stuff were actually signing on and endorsing this rap act. And one of the questions that popped in my head was, is this just them trying to protect their investment?
Of course.
You know, because they make so much money off of it, they don't want to see these motherfuckers locked up.
Yeah.
Well, that and those labels know that the most popular rappers are going to be the ones talking about this type of shit because it's real and it's sexy. So they're going to invest more money in those dudes, but they don't want to lose their investment. If they go to jail, their shit's over.
Why do you think they introduced this bill? This doesn't seem like something that the government would get behind, does it?
Why do you think
Like
who
the
would
federal
do
government or the state? I can see California
About the rap act
probably
bill?
introducing a bill, but do you think this? It just seems weird that a government would introduce a bill to try to protect predominantly black people.
When you say you talking about the one that's in California, the Gavin Newsom bill?
The New York, Gavin Newsom's bill, the New York bill, because those offer federal protections too, right?
I think that's a situation where you have a couple of good apples in the bad bunch,
Okay.
where they're like, "This is fucked up. I believe in the law, and I think that what you guys are doing is wrong." Because it's not just them too. I've seen interviews with like quite a few lawyers that are saying that this is not lawful. Like, you can't do this. You know, and if you're gonna do it, you have to put it across the board, and you have to fucking do it to everyone. Like, are you gonna start doing it to books?
Right.
You know, like
Movies, any
anything.
form of entertainment.
Because they're
100%.
trying to remove the whole idea of a rapper playing a character in a song versus giving an actual autobiographical narration of what I did last week. And they're not going to do that to somebody else. I guarantee you, I can't think of who, like, if Kid Rock wrote a song tomorrow about fucking beating the shit out of a whole bunch of Democrats, because whatever, they're not gonna fucking bring that shit up and be like, look at this. Well, they might, because he's kind of a rapper. Yeah, scratch that.
probably,
They
but-
might,
You think they would?
because it's Kid Rock. They might.
And if we look at this through racist undertones, you're willing to sacrifice one to get a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
That's
if you lose
exactly
Kid Rock, who's gonna really care about that?
That's exactly right.
Because you're locking up a lot of other black people for bullshit. Like if you're the prosecutor, like, get some real fucking hardcore evidence instead of some fucking lyrics in a fucking rap song.
Well, they're getting evidence. So what they're doing is they're using the lyrics, but they're also getting, even if it's like circumstantial evidence. I guess the way they're looking at it is, if I have this lyric where he says, "Just caught a body a week ago," or whatever, and then they have these other pieces of circumstantial evidence. I think what they're trying to do is be like, well, we have 7 pieces of circumstantial evidence, so that there equals probable cause.
And the lyrics could be show a character trait.
They're trying to say that the lyrics are basically a confession.
Yep.
Like, if you go on a record and you say, "I killed someone last week," they're removing the benefit of storytelling from the entire situation. Because again, if a rock band did this, or a metal band, or a country band did this, there was a study, and unfortunately I don't remember the woman's name, but it was done a long time ago, where she took lyrics from an old ass country group that was talking about killing a cop. And I'm talking about, like, they're probably from like the 50s or 60s. And they wrote a song that was a narration or a story about somebody else killing a cop. She took 2 groups. One group, she gave them the lyrics and said it was a country artist. The other group, she gave them the lyrics and said it was a rap artist. And I'm pretty sure you can put together what happened.
Yeah.
But the people that thought it was a rap lyric were like, "Oh my God, this is terrible. I'm scared."
Yep.
But the people that thought it was a country lyric were like, "Oh, it might be a little risque, but it's
Yeah.
not that big of a
Yeah.
deal." That's the same shit that we're seeing. Is like, if you look at it from a racist standpoint, you're always going to think anything we say is violent by nature. Like, they look at us as violent anyway.
Yep. And then, there's the, people say, we're just documenting, how we grew up and stuff like that. So, there's the association of the upbringing of these rappers and their lyrics, and the thing is, we don't typically try to disassociate that with between fiction and truth, because it's real and this is how he grew up and he's just documenting. Kind of when NWA came on the scene, and stuff like that. So now they're trying to basically kind of use that and flip that in court as well, and say, well, they're telling these life stories. Because Snoop Dogg got in some shit. Murder was the case was the song after the fact.
Yeah,
But it was
after-
about
yeah.
something that really happened.
Yeah. So, it's kind of wild because, if you think about it, you know, the way I look at it is like, here's this art form that was created out of just whatever. It's just created, right? And it's changed lifestyles of so many, you know, black people, you know, to be able to come up and you know, create money and do something that in any other situation they probably would have been killed, not have a job, piss poor, or whatever. So there are a lot of black people getting wealthy off this, you know, and you know, you have labels and stuff tapping into that, but it's still kind of changing the community in positive ways. So what do? You got to try to nullify that some way. You got to kind of kill it. So you get these put these fucking rap lyrics on trial, which is mostly black people, and you start to kind of nullify everything that's been taking place. You know, it's kind of crazy.
Charlamagne actually was on Breakfast Club talking about this. I think it was in reference to the Young Thug case, and him and Envy were both basically like, you know, if you're gonna commit these crimes, then why are you putting it in lyrics? Why are you telling on yourself? And it's like, because it fucking makes money. Like, that's what makes money. So why are you looking at, I hate to call it victim blaming because that's such a played out term, but why are you looking at the rappers who are coming from this impoverished area and saying, why are you talking about these things? As opposed to saying, well, why are you in that predicament in the first place? What put you there?
Right.
How can we get you out of there? A lot of these people that are in these situations, the only way they see out is rap music.
Yeah.
And what's the most popular type of rap music right now? You talking about killing and shooting people,
all that type shit.
right? So it's just unfair that you're looking at the people that are essentially victims of circumstance, and then you're being like, well, why are you talking about being a victim of circumstance?
Right.
What the fuck you want us to rap about?
Right.
Like, I go outside, there's crack vials in the ground. I go behind the block, there's someone that just got shot. What do you want me to rap about? How many steps it takes me to get through my day and talk about exercise? Like, what the fuck? It's wild, but then they won't look at all the people that are making legislation, that are making bills, that are keeping people in these areas and not trying to help them. They don't question any of that shit.
How much culpability do you feel that the labels have in primarily marketing and promoting that type of music? Like, do you feel that they put that type of music at a forefront and they don't get the quote unquote more positive or things that aren't as violent? Because I feel like labels do promote a lot of the violent stuff.
Well, you know, there was that conspiracy about, you know,
The secret meeting.
The media.
the secret meeting. We did a video on that.
We did.
1991, yeah.
So if you want to be a conspiracist, you can take that and associate that now. Like if they played a long game and say, hey, we just gonna, you know, these black people are making all this money, they're making all this music, we can't stop that. You know, and you know, it's positive and it's really uplifting their community. So we're gonna have them make music all about violence and shooting and stuff. We're gonna popularize that and make them make money off that. And then later on down the line, we're gonna lock their ass up for rapping about the shit that made them all that money. You know, it's kind of wild if you wanted to play that game.
But that's what I was gonna make it bring you back to what you said initially about certain people trying to defend it or whatever. And I think that's why they want to keep promoting it. So they want to bring these acts in place to like, nah, let them keep rapping about it. You know what I'm saying? Like that could be the case as to why you have so many people like you asked that wants to actually, you know, defend it. You know, so you know, it's kind of interesting. Like the more we're talking about it, just kind of the different perspectives that people can have and the different motives that people can have when it comes to it. It's like on one hand, yeah, throw them in jail, but on the other hand, let them keep doing it. Yeah, like it's just like it's kind of a weird place.
It's like,
you
let
know
them
what
keep
I'm saying?
promoting violence on their own community. And all that
Yeah,
type
it's
of
like
stuff.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the labels and you're kind of blaming them for that, you have to look at us too. Because it's like, how are we any different? We don't have to cover that shit, but we
Right.
cover it all the time.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, sure, the labels should have some sort of responsibility, but then should also outlets like us have some sort of responsibility for saying, like, look, this whole album that was made about killing people is super dope. The way he talked about killing that guy was super dope. Or do we look at it as a situation of, well, there are certain outlets that understand what storytelling is. There's certain outlets, because I love horror movies. I don't want to see anyone murdered.
Right.
I don't even like seeing people get hit in videos anymore. Like that shit makes me uncomfortable. But I can watch someone getting their eyeball pulled out all day long in a movie. So I mean, if you look at it and you say, well, these outlets understand what storytelling is and what character building is, do you give the same leeway to labels, or do you say, no, I think there's something more nefarious going on there? That's a genuine question, not a leading thing.
100%.
Just to kind of tackle that a little bit, I mean, there is something to be said, or there is a difference between like, you know, actual storytelling about killing and like documenting an actual murder that you committed. Like, I do think it's something different about that personally.
Okay, so how do you know when someone's actually documenting a murder they committed?
No, I'm not. I'm talking about because you're talking about the artist, the responsibility of the artist. So I'm saying that
The label.
the artist. Well, I'm talking about the artist, right? When the artist creates the music, you know, it's one thing to create this imaginary picture or whatever, like a movie, versus like, oh, this is something that I actually did.
But see, that's where the tough line comes in, because it's like, when do you know
That's the slippery
that's
slope.
what they're doing versus they're just creating a character?
Right, that's why I'm putting it back on the artist. Like, should you actually rap about something that you actually could? Yeah, should you actually rap about something that you actually did?
I disagree, because I feel like anyone should be able to make art about anything they want to make art about.
Well, not disagree. That's a question. So I'm like saying, like, should they should they actually rap about stuff that they actually have done?
Yes.
Crimes they could get committed.
But so what do you think?
I don't know. I don't know. I think this kind of, I think it could be tasteless. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it like, to families and stuff like that are of that the life that they took or whatever. So I don't know. I don't want to promote actual violence. Like you said, you watch a movie, you enjoy the violence and all that, but you don't want to see somebody actually get killed. Yeah. So it's the same thing with the rap. Like, I could listen to a West Side Gun, Conway or whatever, but if I know that you actually did that to that man, that's not gonna make me feel good about this.
That's the thing, we'll never know. I'm sorry, go ahead. You can start to talk. I'm sorry.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, so like Lil Durk just turned 30 a couple days ago, right?
Happy birthday, Durk.
I know, right? It's crazy as hell. He's 30 years old, and there was somebody recording him, and they asked him, what's your birthday wish? And he was like, I'm good. I don't have one because it already happened. And he was talking about pretty much getting rid of his ops.
Do you know that's what he was talking about? Did he say that's what he was talking about? Or are you dry snitching on this man?
Well, he put it out there.
Did he say I'm talking about my ops?
We can infer
prosecutor
based off. But here's the thing: like he's been on multiple interviews and stuff like that, openly talking about like his situation, and he wanted to get rid of that person. That person's no longer here.
But he didn't say he did it.
Right. He didn't say
I can look. If Trump died tomorrow, I could say, man, I'm having a good ass day because my favorite wish just happened. 100%. That doesn't mean I killed Trump.
No, 100%.
Just saying, Dirk, man,
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that he said that he did that. However, we know what he's referring to.
But that's not a crime to say you're happy someone died.
I didn't say that it was a crime.
Why are you bringing Dirk up then?
I'm bringing Dirk up because of what the position that you hold. No.
He said,
I'm agreeing with you. No, I'm agreeing with you because it is a slippery slope. We don't know what is truth versus
fact versus fiction.
Exactly. We don't know. However, I know that he's referred to it in a lot of music and a lot of interviews and things of that nature, but you can't say that is pinpoint fact. His lyrics are not pinpoint fact. Yeah. We know the fact is that certain ops ain't here no more. We know that
we gonna get fucked up by Dirk,
right.
Jay Prince. Who's the other one that he
Jay Prince.
You steady be dropping us some shit.
What I said about Jay Prince?
Nothing. You didn't say anything. You didn't say anything about what Myke is talking about.
I don't know what Myke is talking about. But I agree with Myke. Like, at the end of the day, like, artists should have complete creative control to say whatever they want, regardless if it is 100% real or if it is fiction. Only the people involved would know really what happened there. You know what I'm saying? And if they're not snitching, then we as outsiders have to take that as fiction.
I agree. It's easy to push anti-black stereotypes when they can point to us doing it ourselves. Right. So if you have an idea of black people are violent, black people commit crimes, black people do X, Y, and Z, and then you can pull a whole bunch of references of us saying, yes, we commit crimes. Yes, we kill people. Yes, we do this. It's easier for racists to push that narrative without giving any sort of leeway to nuance or artistic merit. Like,
Yeah.
you look at someone like you look at someone like Stephen King, who wrote plenty of books that are just twisted as fuck. Or there's even you look at a book like The Stranger that's written from a first person's perspective. If a murder happened around the time The Stranger was written, would the author have been brought up on charges? Probably not.
Right.
But once it gets down to, okay, now we're talking about poor people who are by and large involved in more crime because their communities are under this type of... Once you get down there, it's a lot easier to say, okay, well... And then we also push this idea of keeping it real and, you know, don't rap about shit you don't know about. And it's like, well, that's the shit where I do think people should stop saying.
Yes.
But then you also have rappers that call other rappers out, like, you know, most of what y'all rapping about is fake or whatever. Because Jay says it all the time about rappers, and I know other people do too.
And he also raps with people that have done that, right? Like, I could quote you Rick Ross on Every Day I'm Hustling, where he says, I met Noriega, the real Noriega. He owed me 100 favors. That nigga never met Noriega. And he has hella songs with
But
Jay.
the point is, rappers should stop
Yes.
calling other rappers out for not keeping it real, because you can't have it both ways.
100%.
And it's funny we're talking about Jay-Z. Like, yeah, if you're gonna call rappers out and say, you know, don't rap about this if you haven't done it, you can't then turn around and back a bill saying, you know, you can't hold rappers accountable. Like, you can't have it both ways. Just leave rap as an art form.
Jay-Z always try to have it both ways.
Yeah, he does.
he hedges
does.
every time. But I'm glad Meek Mill
Me too.
and all these other labels are supporting the bill.
Me too.
I think to your point, Myke, what I want to add is that I think we do need to start reframing it to say it's art and try to disassociate it from being more fact than fiction.
Right.
Why isn't it already looked at like that though?
Because
why isn't it already looked at
question.
as entertainment and art? Because that's what it actually is.
Great question.
No, you're right, and I think that a lot of the conversations and interviews that have taken place over the years have associated it more with it
Reality.
being fact, and then
Reality.
you know, yep.
But see, that's what I don't understand, because it's literally not reality. It's entertainment and like.
But you partly love Jay for the same reasons I do, right? And a lot of things that Jay talks about are things that are detrimental to the community, but we both would assume that Jay had a part in that, right?
Detrimental to the community since
What-
not lately, not what
So-
part
so-
of
so-
Maybe
so-
Reasonable Doubt.
Jay talks about selling crack to the community, and like that's a quote unquote real thing that he did.
Again, he did do that on Reasonable Doubt, but since then, it's been an evolution of Jay.
I understand that, but we as the audience believe that to be fact, correct?
The Reasonable Doubt, yes.
No. Jay still references those times in Marcy Me. And that's on 444. Oh,
Yeah, this is gonna get into a different conversation.
Yeah, let's-
he'll
yeah.
reference it, but like say that it was detrimental to the community. He's actually said that.
But I think the thing is that he puts a factual thing in the song, and you know, and this whole keeping it real mantra that has been associated with hip hop since, you know, this turn to the more violent type of music is kind of where the trouble that they're finding themselves in now. And to your point, Rod, to kind of wrap up, is that I think you're right. There needs to be a push to say it's more entertainment, art, you know, fiction. Because when you see a movie, yeah, we you know, we know that's fiction, you know, but
it also
in
could be
songs we don't know, because there's been this label of like it's autobiographical.
I don't know. I think some of the same stuff could be said with movies. Like, there are mass murderers. There are people that can commit certain crimes. Like, I think, like, why? It's the same thing, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Certain horror movies, you know, you can clearly see that those are fictional characters. You know,
But any movie, their directors
Yeah.
aren't getting brought up on charges.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like it's,
Or
but
writers.
they're also not a part of
or
an
writers.
impoverished group that is known for doing those
Right.
things. But it also depends on the rapper and the type. Like, Killer Mike says all types of shit. But even on his shit, he talks about fucking crack and violence. And I mean, he talks about, I put a pistol on the poodle and I shot that bitch. Wasn't nobody looking at him. Peter wasn't calling Killer Myke.
Right.
And being like, did you just kill a dog? No. Because look at the type of rap it is and look at the type of audience that Run the Jewels has. But had someone like a Young Thug said that, had Gucci put on an album, I put a pistol on that poodle and I shot that bitch. Everybody's like, oh my God.
That's how he said.
Gucci killed a poodle.
That's how you think Peter gonna come after Gucci?
Oh, they would definitely come after, yeah.
I mean, they're coming out for his furs in the general.
Right, right.
I forgot about that.
Right.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, there's racial bias. So, I think that's what the community, that's what, the culture can do moving forward.
Racial bias and class bias, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all I got.
But good job to Jay-Z. I think it's dope. It's one of the, and that was why I wanted to do the video, because I talked so much shit about Jay. This was one of the things I've seen where I was like, man, that's it. I like that he's actually putting his name behind it. And he's, at least at the time that I saw this, which was over a year ago, he was actively putting his name behind it. It wasn't just like this bill is cool. It was like, nah, this shit needs to pass.
Jay don't want to go to jail for selling crack to his people.
I mean, it's a, what do you call it? Statute of limitations. I think Jay is fine.
Yeah.
He don't want to get in trouble about talking about fucking women and have Beyonce be like, wait a minute now. Wait a minute now.
But look, man, we appreciate you guys. How do y'all feel about rap's lyrics being used in the court of law? You feel the type of way or you don't feel the type of way, make sure you hit up the comment section. You always know that's the second conversation. But again, we appreciate you guys watching DeadEnd Hip Hop. We out. Peace.